And I click this link, and it's a forum post, and the title of the post is The Vision of Escape from Tarkov. And then I look, and it was like June 2020. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and if you'll remember, episode 29 of the podcast was on October 21st.
Yeah.
4 months later, Tarkov needs vision.
Yeah, that's the name. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games, with a heavy focus on the first-person shooter Escape from Tarkov. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jessekazam, an Escape from Tarkov YouTuber, general content creator.
And I am the artist formerly known as Veritas. My name is now just Sad Boy.
Sad Boy.
69 TTV. And yeah, I can't. I haven't survived all day in this fucking game.
I need like a musical alter ego as well, named Sad Boy.
Oh my god, that like Joji is
yes.
is filthy for no, I could do that.
Sad
I
Boy.
could do that. I should also like oh, you probably can't. Can you hear it? Can you hear that?
No.
Oh damn. Okay. Well, I was gonna play. I could play some like lo-fi piano in the background. And talk
Exactly. That would be so great. Sad Boy. So I was gonna say, how's Tarkov feeling, but we can just gloss right over that.
So it's interesting because a couple days ago there was a patch.
Yep.
Like nothing in the notes, nothing significant or whatever. But it was when they, at the same time, Steam Audio was disabled.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I need to make clear for everybody, because everybody just wants to pass along misinformation and misunderstand.
It's wild.
Oh, God. So everybody was under the impression that Steam Audio was disabled because they wanted to make like performance tests or something. Like they wanted to test to see if there were issues caused by Steam Audio. I have no idea where they got this information from. I think it was just people making it up. Because when I talked to Nikita about it, he had basically told me that when that patch, whatever the bug fix patch was, I don't even remember. He said they updated Unity, but I don't think it was necessarily like a major update, or it might have been a minor update. I don't know what they were doing, but he said something about there was a Unity update that broke Steam Audio, meaning like it wasn't compatible. So like they just were like, well, like it doesn't work right now. It wasn't for testing anything. So because of that, a few days of that, and everybody was saying, wow, all these performance improvements I'm getting from Steam Audio being off. Oh, Steam Audio was the thing that caused all these problems.
Yeah. No, it was
not knowing. Well, there's a couple of things. One, some people thought that they were doing that, which they weren't. Some other people, like, the thing is that it's the whole issue of correlation doesn't equal causation.
Yes.
Is if they make 17 changes, they tell you about one of the changes, and then you experience something different. You can't assume that it's the one thing that they told you about, and you know that has nothing else to do. It's one of the best parts about that whole like 4 or 5 day period where there was no Steam Audio was that people were still coming into my chat bitching about how broken the audio was, and they're so sick of Steam Audio is so bad. How do you use Steam Audio? Just today, I had 2 silent grenades and and silent footsteps, and it's like, okay, well,
guess what?
Like, guess what? That wasn't Steam Audio, just like I've been saying for fucking ever,
It's
so
it's wild. It really is. And it's like, I get what, it's just so hard. I get why they didn't put they don't list all these changes. If they listed all the changes they made, we wouldn't even understand them, right? They're doing a bunch of back end stuff, but you know what I mean? X and Y happen at the same time, so they have to be related. You know what I mean? If you plug in your toaster and your microwave explodes, it's not like, oh, at least I have a toaster now. Like that doesn't necessarily mean they're related. And it really is crazy. It really leveled the playing field. And I feel like a lot of people that thought exactly like you were saying, a lot of the people that thought a bunch of the audio bugs were just Steam audio bugs realized that they were just audio bugs that had nothing to do with Steam audio. And now you can't hear what direction your enemy is, and he's throwing silent nades. You know what I mean? So it's it's not like
the thing is that like, because people don't know the right questions to ask. So much of like success in life comes from knowing the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
So this just reminds me of like, if we were to experience some positive change in the game, right? You know, let's say people had better performance.
Yeah.
They would go, you know, they would be the type that would, or the average person I feel like would go to Nikita and they'd say, "You disabled Steam audio?" And he would say, "Yes." And you'd be like, "Great, awesome." And they'd be walking away mumbling to themselves how, "Oh, the performance is so much better. It must have been because of Steam audio," without realizing, like, he didn't say that. You know, like you just assumed that. You asked the wrong question. So the day after all the Steam audio stuff happened, and also the patch, whatever else they did, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed was, and if you've seen the video on the Netcode, my ping, my RTT was between 19 and 25, like all day, and my player RTT was like 34 to 40. It was like 15 milliseconds, like crazy. So I pinged Nikita and I was like, "What did you guys do?"
Yeah.
I didn't say, "Did you fix the netcode with this thing I told you about in the video?" You know what I mean? Because it's like leading the witness in a way. I was just like, "What did you do today?" Because I wanted him to not know that I was saying it was good or bad.
Yeah.
You know?
What did you do? Yeah.
Because at first he actually thought, he was like, "Oh God." I literally was like, "What did you do with like either the server or the client performance?" Because I had a bunch of really good raids and everything felt really good, and all of the evidence that I had from that other video, none of that was there.
Yeah.
None of it was present. Every time someone peeked me and I bopped them in the head and my aim was perfect, I like looked up and there was like an 8 millisecond difference between the two things, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? And when I pinged him, I was like, "What did you guys do?" He's like, "If you're having problems, like give me the server logs." I'm like, no. I'm like, "Did you what did you do?" And he basically was like, "We haven't done anything." So I was like, "Well, fuck." And then now the last couple of days it's been a weird.
Yeah.
The game has not felt bad in terms of performance. It's just been shitty. Like the last 3 days have been shitty, but in a way completely distinct from the 4 months before that. I feel like every time I die, it's really unlucky.
Yeah.
Which makes me think like maybe cheaters are back again or something. Yeah. And I'm probably being more suspicious than I need to be. But when I die because of certain things, it feels okay. When I die for other reasons, sometimes they don't. And I've been wrong a lot.
Well,
but there's something there. You know what I mean? There's something.
I can attest to that feeling because, like, over the past few weeks, it really has been like, just sit down, play the game, accept your fate. You're going to die to like horrible netcode a lot tonight. You know what I mean? Just like accept it. And I really felt that. And the more you and me talked and the more that I understood how those issues present themselves and how they are related, the more I could identify, like with friends running, with people peeking around corners, whether I won the fight or lost. The more I learned about it, the more I was able to identify, like, yeah, wow, it's been rough the past few weeks. The past few days have been really rough for me too, but very different. I found myself, so like at the end of the night, instead of being like, dude, really rough night of like netcode tonight, boys. It was like 2 nights in a row where at the end of the night, I was like, chat, I just want to have fun. Why? What's wrong? I was like, chat, tell me why I can't have fun tonight. So I can totally identify with the fact that it was a few really rough nights at Tarkov, but I couldn't in any way be like, yo, rough netcode tonight, boys. It was just like, why aren't we having fun, chat? I don't get it. Steam Audio's back. We should be having fun. So it's really interesting. I've felt like ever since they turned off Steam Audio, the audio has been super scuffed, it just in like completely anecdotal, just like things that I, you know what I mean, that I've noticed. And then I thought that it was all just because Steam Audio was gone, and I was like, man, how do people play? But
how did they play before?
How did they play before, and how do they, and how do people, like, dude, it used to be that people would come into chat and be like, you know, I prefer, you know, Steam Audio off, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it's cool, like I like it, I use it. But now people would come in, I'd be like, yeah, this is, I've never turned Steam Audio on. I'm like, how do you play like this every day? Like, have you turned Steam Audio on? Like, it's actually crazy. But even since it came back on, I have felt like since that patch, since they turned it off, something has just been weird with the audio. It could just be a feeling. It could be completely unrelated. But a lot of, like, I was lurking while I was like getting everything ready, and it was on, you were on Labs. That last death, you heard the guy, you knew where he was, and then you peeked up and he was in a different place, but he hadn't made any noise. It's like you heard him when he was farther away, but when he was moving, when he was close, you didn't get any audio. It's been stuff like that where it's like,
well, so that I
just like,
I knew he was there.
Yeah.
I knew it, and I'd have to go back and watch it again,
yeah.
But like the audio cues, there was nothing misleading about those last audio cues for me.
I was kind of
and
half
I haven't
watching,
had any issues.
So.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues with the audio since they turned Steam Audio back on. Since they fixed the issues, it feels exactly like it was before, which was like as good as it's ever been.
Yeah. It just felt like over the past few days, it wasn't that I was getting. It felt like more often than before, I wasn't getting false audio cues. I was getting like no audio cues. Like I was just like, that guy was 4 feet away from me. How did I not hear it? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, you can hear somebody ADSing through a concrete wall on interchange. But like, why did I, you know what I mean? That guy just like sprinted over here. Like, how did I not hear him? You know what I mean? Like that's, and once again, could be completely anecdotal where it's not actually indicative of why it's been a bad night.
You got used to no Steam Audio because, so here's the thing. People still think that like Steam Audio is the binaural audio box, right? People think when they check that box that what they're doing is turning off one audio system and turning on a completely separate audio system, as if they're two different systems, and it's not what they're doing. There's Tarkov's audio, and then that checkbox is almost like an EQ setting on top of it.
Yeah.
So all Steam Audio does is essentially right now is post-process the audio from Tarkov. So like the, you know, staircase issue.
Yeah, that's just the Tarkov
like the
audio issue.
Steam Audio is like a middleman, right? Tarkov Audio gives it no sound, and it goes, okay, I'm going to process no sound and give you no sound, and just, right? Nothing gets played. Steam Audio has nothing to do with that. It's handling, when it's given a sound, what that sound sounds like. So and part of the reason why a lot of people didn't like Steam Audio when it was first introduced is because they said, well, it sounds softer, like quieter. And that is true, but the reason why is because before, when you had audio that was like in front of you, to the right, around a corner kind of thing, Tarkov could only really modulate one thing. It could just change the volume.
Yeah. So as it got closer, it just got louder. It
would just get louder. Yeah, but not really like significantly enough.
Yeah.
Not in a realistic thing, because you're not going to get like a perfectly linear distribution when someone takes footsteps, you know. But so however Tarkov Audio handled it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough in many cases.
Yeah.
But the problem was it didn't allow you to really pinpoint. You had to move your head around, and then that could kind of give you an idea of where it was. Now with binaural audio, as long as you don't have 5.1 sound, whenever I say this, people always go like, "What? Don't have surround sound on?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have 7.1 Dolby." Like, no.
11.3. Yeah.
God, I shouldn't have Windows Sonic. What? Just use stereo audio. Fuck people. As soon as you turn on binaural audio, what that does is it now adds processing to both channels to where things that are, it's going to be much more subtle and precise.
Yeah.
So it's like if you look at a really basic audio system, the simplest implementation could be if the person is 10 feet from you or closer, play the sound. Otherwise, too far to play the sound, right? That would be like a really binary thing where if there was running, sprinting 11 feet, they would make no sound. As soon as they'd step, all of a sudden there'd be sound, right? Like there's a lot of things in Tarkov that actually behave sort of like that. And I've actually seen a lot of the code relevant to it, which is like literally like if source sound is less than some threshold, like just do nothing. Don't play the sound, so, and that I want to look to see if I can find some more bits on it, but I mean that explains the things like why certain sounds sound like they're on the wrong floor in dorms, or why you don't hear footsteps in stairwells. It's because some part of the logic is getting improperly handled to where it thinks that the person under you, they're treating it, they're like, oh, play the sound as if they were 3 feet horizontal to you, because they are 3 feet horizontal but 10 feet vertical with a wall between it. Now, so what Steam Audio does in its current implementation right now is just like filter that so it makes it more precise.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, it almost felt like when they turned Steam Audio, like, once again, I don't think this is the case, but it almost felt like, because I totally get that Steam Audio just, processes the Tarkov audio, but it felt like something happened even with the Tarkov audio, where the Tarkov audio got worse. And so I was like, oh, the audio sucks. And then they turned Steam Audio back on, but it would, like, there were certain things that were still bad that I knew wasn't Steam Audio's fault. It just felt like I've been, the past few days, it just felt like sounds that should be playing, like not the staircase thing, not vertical, just like an actually person like walking right in front of me, I can't hear. And I'm just like, I don't get why, like, you know what I mean? But I don't know, maybe it's just because everyone's slow creeping around. I've been playing a lot of Interchange, which has been a terrible idea, so maybe it's just different play style. But that's at least what it felt like, even if it's not true. But going all the way back, sure. I can agree that Tarkov has felt different, but the netcode has felt better. There have been way less like really, really bad cases of like desync and dying behind corners and, you know what I mean, like stuff like that over the past few days since they messed with those patches.
And I think a lot of people have said that too. And the question is, why?
Yeah,
I come out,
I'm
like,
so surprised.
I come out with a video, dude. I come out with a video that's talking about an issue that's been there for 6 months, and then literally like a week later, everybody starts saying, "Hey," independently too.
Yeah.
Like I haven't watched any other streams. I've been so busy working on all these fucking videos and doing my own streams and whatever that all of a sudden I was like, why does today feel so good? And then I pull up the FPS thing and I'd see that the numbers were totally way different than what they used to be. Now today they were back to where they used to be, where it was like 70 or 80
difference,
a millisecond difference, and it would spike up and stuff like that. But so maybe it was just like, Nikita said maybe, it's just like, actually he said some phrase that was funny that I know what he meant, but it didn't make any sense, but I think I know what he meant. He said, I think it's occasion, with a smiley face. And I was like, I think he meant just like, I think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, do you think like it has anything to do with them literally just turning off the servers and turning them back on again? Because they brought it down for like 20 minutes to implement the patch. It wasn't off, and I was like, I wonder if it was that simple. They turned them off, they turned them back on, and for like a day it felt fine. Because somebody in chat actually put, I think it was yesterday or the day before, not me, but my teammate died to one of the most desyncy. Like, he died and immediately he was like, I'm about to uninstall the game, and I thought he was overreacting, and he sent me the clip, and it was actually pretty crazy. It hasn't been happening to me, but I totally forgot. So I wonder if it's just like it was just good for a day because they turned it off and back on again. I don't know.
So if that's the case, then that goes against my hypothesis.
Yeah.
Or Well, it doesn't, because my hypothesis could still be true,
Yeah.
but there could just
be
it's like
other things,
my idea could be true, and there could be 3 other netcode problems.
Exactly. Like, it could alleviate it for temporarily for another reason, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those things.
Now, I will say that
Who knows,
when I did play the other day, it was earlier in the day. I normally stream at night, around 4, 5, 6 p.m. And I started streaming at like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why I didn't think about it until just now, but like people are at work, people are at school. There's just probably way less people playing the game.
It's true. Especially if you're on NA servers.
Yeah. I was just playing on auto. I've been on auto for a while because when I kept getting into late raids.
Yeah.
By selecting specific servers.
And that's the thing, is that it's so hard to tell, because like on one hand, me saying that like I haven't experienced desync as bad as it has been the past few weeks, the past few days, could be indicative of a change. Like it could be confirming your suspicion of like at least that day that there was something happen, but it could just be that I was just the one administering the desync, that like, you know what I mean, for a few days, like where, because it's just so because it feels like it happens in waves. Like it feels like some days it's bad and some days it's not bad. So I don't know, when I'm like, oh yeah, it didn't feel bad yesterday. I don't, maybe that it has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's so hard to tell, man.
When you say you were the one administering the desync, what do you mean?
I just mean like if like the client side, whatever, client authoritative thing where it's like, you never see yourself running in place. So if all day I was just the lucky one who like on his screen I was running in place, if that happened to me all day, I would end that day and go, yo, no desync today. I got a lot of kills. You know what I mean? But
if you had a shitty internet connection, then that might be the case, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have, and that was one of the things that I was kind of worried about, was after I made this video, I was like, fuck, like
throttle the internet, boys.
I basically just gave everybody like a how-to manual how to fucking destroy the experience.
Yeah.
I did see somebody who I actually think was lag switching. Only one person, he was a hatchling, and he was like, would freeze, run in place, teleport, hatchet me in the head, run back. Like it was just like too good. He was too effective at lagging.
Yeah.
And too confident as a hatchling to have it like
once you watch him and you think that he's like, and it's a skill, then there's something.
Yeah. If you can fucking night crawl, like I don't know. But yeah, who the fuck knows? Who knows what the deal is?
It's actually so scuffed. Who knows? I just hope that like we said last week, they saw the video, they passed it to the network guys. Maybe something good could come out of it. Who knows? But, I don't know. So I don't even remember who it was. But the big thing that we wanted to talk about tonight, I don't even remember who it was. Somebody dropped. It might have been Lennon. Somebody dropped in the chat, was just like,
I think it was Lennon, because he said like, Jesse, is he talking about
the vision post
thread?
Yeah. I think he was just like, dude, read this when you get a chance. So I clicked it and I left the tab open on my stream, and I look over, and the title, this is a forum post. I will put this link in the show notes for.
I thought it was a response to us, dude. And then I saw the date, and I was like, oh.
It's okay. So how many times have you heard the term vision on this podcast over the past few episodes? And I clicked this link, and it's a forum post, and the title of the post is The Vision of Escape from Tarkov. And I immediately thought that either this was a response to us or this was from 2016. Like, it's
how fucking arrogant are you, Jesse? How arrogant are you, huh?
It's one of those two things. It's either a response to our podcast or it's from 2016. And then I look, and it was like June 2020. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and if you'll remember, episode 29 of the podcast was on October 21st.
Yeah.
4 months later, Tarkov Needs Vision.
Yeah, that's the name. The name of the podcast 4 months later is Tarkov Needs Vision. So I was like, no way. So we'll link it. It's definitely worth a read. It starts off by talking about how a lot of the guys involved made the game contract wars and hired ops and the sister companies that have worked on that and how they all exist in the same world, and talking a little bit about the Russia 2028 setting, which if you're just interested in the lore of Escape from Tarkov, this is definitely worth a read. It's just really cool stuff. And then it's just like, all right, Escape from Tarkov. And there's like 3 pages of what they want Escape from Tarkov to be. So we're not going to just read it verbatim, but I pulled some of the most interesting things. We can just talk about our opinions, and there are some juicy ones later on. Highly recommend the read. So they talk about, bears and USEX and, who you are and that you've basically been abandoned, which reading that helps me. I've always thought it was...
They just left us.
I've always thought it was weird that, there's like, you can get a quest to kill 30 bears if you're a bear. You know what I mean? Or to kill 20 USECs if you're a USEC. But they kind of leave it up that like, by the time you start playing Escape from Tarkov, you have no allegiances anywhere. You have been abandoned and you are trying to survive. So I guess that kind of helps. And they start talking about scavs, and they link other forum posts to like scav gangs, like the Grizzle.
I didn't see this.
Dude,
the Grizzle
the
group?
Grizzle
What the
group,
fuck is...
Sopranko group, and the Pashutin armed group. These are all actually different factions of scavs, and they each have forum posts talking about like their leaders and a little bit of background about that.
Mr. Grizzle?
Mr. Grizzle?
He's just a fucking teddy bear, dude.
And then they talk about how like the leaders of those factions are like the real scav bosses. And like the scav bosses, like there's a section on scav leaders, and it says, don't mistake the captains in the scavs for their actual formal leadership. Rashala, Killa, Sanitar, and Gluha are more like sub-commanders of their groups responsible for local positions. So like the scav bosses,
he's the regional manager.
Yes, he's
it's Michael Scott, regional manager of the fucking
Dude, yes,
Scranton branch.
Exactly. So like this.
Can I be in the Nashville branch?
The scav bosses have bosses, and it doesn't really talk about if you're going to intersect with them, but just the fact that there's actually like different factions and stuff like that. It talks about the cultists a little bit, which we don't know much about. Which reminds me, Veritas, have you seen that thing floating around, the like fan-made cultist trailer?
Nope.
It's the best. It's the best piece of Escape from Tarkov fan-made material ever made ever. I'll send it to you. It's just like, it's this guy, I guess he did it in Unity or whatever, but he modeled 2 PMCs rolling through customs at night, and the one PMC just getting like throat slit, just doom, and you just keep seeing through the eyes of these like shady creatures, and then the one PMC like turns his weapon, and then out of every room just like step out these like shadowy figures, and then the dude just gets taken from behind, and you're just like,
I can't. Oh my god, I can't watch it because I'm working on something. Fuck, that's really similar. Fuck.
Oh man, it's crazy. I'll send it to you. But so it talks about the cultists, the United Nations, some of that stuff, which is cool. It talks about how.
Fun fact. Yeah. This is like, it's one of these things that I never thought about, and I feel stupid for having not noticed. But like UNTAR, I did not know that stood for United Nations Tarkov. I don't know why. I like knew about like the UN, like the blue armor was like the UNTAR armor, but I just never thought about the tar part
being
of
Tarkov.
Tarkov. I don't know why. I don't know why.
They allude.
I just thought maybe it was like a Russian word or something. I don't know.
They allude to the fact that the UNTAR are like super shady. Like they're there for humanitarian aid, but it says stuff like, we assumed
peace. Yeah, in quotes. It has it
literally. It says, we assumed they were here to protect the innocent, but who's really innocent? That's probably for moralists and politicians to decide. So they allude to the fact that the UNTAR have some messed up stuff going on.
That seems like a surreptitious but fair poke at the United States. Like,
no, for real.
Like, you all think you're doing what you're doing for good reasons, but who's to fucking say? It's like, kind of true.
It speaks very little about the karma system. You're meant to have some freedom in choosing how you escape, but that your actions will come with consequence. There will be a karma system, essentially works as a personal reputation system from the relations you have with the in-game traders, which that kind of makes the karma system out to be more just like the reputation you have with the trader, and that they might explore more ways that doing a quest for Jaeger might destroy your rep or, skier or whatever.
Which is something I've been talking about forever.
Yes.
That
actual choice to the, to the progressions. This is something that I heard people talk about a lot, like way back when I started playing Escape from Tarkov, and then haven't heard a lot since. But there's a paragraph in here. In the final version of the game, beyond playing as a PMC and Scavs, we'll be able to play as more than one character. Some initial plans have stated that we'll be able to play using 3 characters per account, and they can be from different factions with separate progression. So I remember that being thrown around a lot when I first started playing, like 2018, but that's super interesting. I mean, we've done entire episodes about like how to make Tarkov more replayable. And if there really are consequences to actions, if there really are stuff and certain traders and certain gear that's locked behind certain quest lines, and by doing certain quest lines, you lose the ability to do other quest lines, like having multiple characters, it'd be cool to have a USEC and a bear, and then you're just like rogue dude that pisses everybody off and tries to like, just like murder everything. You know what I mean? So that could be pretty cool.
Murder hobo.
Murder. Yeah. Yep. Third one's the murder hobo. They talk about, okay. So here's where we're going to plant the flag a little bit. All right. So they talk about the main quests and all that stuff. Okay. Escape from Tarkov game modes. All right. So there's Escape from Tarkov, PvPvE, which is what we see right now. It's basically exactly what we see right now. It is instance-based, where you select your map. When the quests come into the game, it'll be very restrictive. It's going to be a linear quest line. You have to start on a specific map, work your way places. It talks a lot about like, you're not just going to know where stuff is. You have to actually visit the place, and they're going to take you through Tarkov. And then at the end, like we've talked about before, the main quest line will lead you through the city, unlocking map after map until you finally manage to escape. After which you will decide whether to now use your renown and established network to remain within Tarkov or leave it for good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Juice time, baby.
What?
It's like, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So many questions.
It was never Escape from Tarkov, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. He's always mentioned exactly that like one day you'll be able to escape from Tarkov, which has always led to way more questions than answers in the past 4 years.
Yeah, then what? Like...
Yes, and we've never gotten answers to those questions. But then now all of a sudden you can decide whether to use your renown and established network to remain within Tarkov or leave it, and leave it for good. They put that at the end. Leave it for good. You close the game, baby, and you never open it again. You've left Tarkov. So that's so interesting. I have no idea.
I wonder if it's like, if it's like after you beat the main quest in Skyrim, you can start a new character, or you can try to do some of the other, things. So I have a feeling like what that means is your character, you'll be like level 60 or whatever. You can either say, okay, transition this account to an open world survival account.
Yes.
Or retire it, I guess.
It would be,
I don't know. It
would be interesting if they had like regional servers where like in, on like let's say the DC server, like you could remain in the instance space stuff and continue to fight for your faction, where like if there's more UN control or bear control or whatever, and you could like stay in there and there'd be a reason to stay. That would be interesting. But the second Escape from Tarkov game mode is open world survival. Oh my God. Unlocked only after completing the first game mode. This allows you to play in an open world map, not a time-limited raid. And then the second sentence, this game mode will be more similar to DayZ. Or Stalker, or similar in the fact that you will play on a very large-scale map with no transitions.
What? You mean the thing that we were like, imagine if...
Dude, it's crazy. I swear to God, we didn't read this before we did the like 3 episodes where we were reading about wanting open world and vision. I promise. It's crazy, dude. So, they mention a few things, which is like, you will still be able to exit the map and go back to your hideout. And in fact, when you don't have raid timers, the game will be much slower and much different to what you normally play currently. This game mode has unlocked traders. They will be available in the actual map. Think of trade zones like in DayZ. So they talk about DayZ again. Note that this game mode will have you using a stash and is very likely you will still be able to enter normal raids. So that sentence,
I missed that part.
That sentence blew my mind. So they said there at the end that it's most likely that you will be able to choose if you just log on and you go, do I want to play open world or do I want to play instance based? And that's what the message I sent you earlier, Veritas. Sentences like that really confuse me because that's what I want more than anything. We've talked before about how if they get the fundamentals of Tarkov right, they can have the best in class looter shooter, best in class survival shooter, best in class battle royale, best in class arena mode. Like they could have all those things. Like the fundamentals of Tarkov are so strong. And on one hand, you have Nikita on podcasts and stuff talking about like, we really want to close up development. We want to move on to our next game. But I'm reading here that there's going to be an instance-based version of the game that I can play whenever I want, an open world version of the game that I can play whenever I want, and then the arena, which is the third game mode they talk about here, which is PvP only with preset loadouts, and you enter the location and try and take each other out. Like, that's an empire of amazing games. Like, you know what I mean? Being able to play the shorter, more bite-sized version of Tarkov that we are very used to right now, being able to hop in the open world, like, that to me sounds like everybody gets what they want. Like if all you want to do is giga chat and click on heads, you play arena. If you want to VoIP fart around with your friends for like 11 hours straight, you play open world. If you want to grind gear, looter shooter style, kill PMCs, you hop into instance based. And I'm like, wait, you guys say you want to close up development, but like this is like everything I've ever wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like
it's weird.
And the thing is that all of the things they said there, they're so wide open that it could be true and still be the most depressing letdown ever. True. So the conversation that I had with Nikita after you sent me this, I read it and was like, instantly pinged Nikita and was like, yo dog, I just read this. Is this true? Is this like still true?
Because it didn't come from Nikita. It came from a BSC crew member.
It was Tobias, I believe, right? So I asked him about this because it instantly like lit a fire under my ass to get me excited again. Because the whole thing, so before the whole like open world stuff, for the longest time, and this probably goes back to like the first couple of years of me playing, the idea of the arena mode was really what I wanted. Yeah. It was the thing that excited me the most. Yeah. And now that I've experienced DayZ and have just experienced more of Tarkov, I don't know if I'll fucking touch arena mode.
Nope.
If there was open world with VoIP, then I could live there for years.
Yep.
So what I wanted to do was basically be like, yo, is this true? And he basically said, yeah, everything there is true with some minor inconsistencies. Minor issues. So it's like, okay. But I was like, what I want to know is, because we haven't had a chance to talk to him really about this stuff. Yeah. We had the big patch and he's been super busy. I've been busy, and then there's been the netcode stuff. So I gotta, we're both busy guys. And the fact that he talks to me as much as he does, I'm fortunate enough that the last thing I want to do is send the guy messages with like every fucking idea that I get, so I try to limit it. But I thought this was a good opportunity for me to be like, because I've been playing a bunch of DayZ, and I copied the sentence where he said this mode will be more similar to DayZ. I was like, I've been playing DayZ, and my take on DayZ is basically that the movement is compared to Tarkov, the movement's trash, the combat's trash, the customization is trash, the graphics are meh, like everything about the game is bad, but it's got open world and it's got VoIP, and those two things redeem every single bit of the shittiness. So it's like, if you could do VoIP, which is a trivial feature, proximity-based VoIP, that's trivial, and then doing open world is not trivial, but like those two things, this would be the greatest game of all time. Like
ever.
You would need, it would solve all the problems, and I want to talk about this and get into some details about how it might, because there's so many things in my head that I haven't said out loud, but it would be good to be able for us to have us theory craft some of these things. I feel like so many of the problems that I and other people have pointed out about Tarkov and like its deficiency and its design and its lack of replayability and all this stuff, like instantly are solved. They're like they become non-issues with those two features. And it's much more complicated. They
become non-issues, or they become like palatable issues. Like because exactly like you said, like I am not like a DayZ fanboy. I definitely didn't grow up playing it like a lot of people did, so I don't ever want to come across like I'm attacking the game or the developers or whatever. But I feel pretty confident saying exactly that, like in comparison to Tarkov, so many of the gameplay elements, the way you interact with the game and the way your character interacts with the game is so garbage. It's so rough. It makes no sense. But like that game has pushed through so long. It's still such a present game. YouTubers are making videos on DayZ that are getting millions of views. It has a thriving, vibrant community 8 years later, with like the development changing hands. It's like DayZ has absolutely everything stacked against it, but it has open world and it has VoIP, and the maps I think are like kind of refined, because a lot of people have tried open world and VoIP. You know, you've got Scum, Deadside. A lot of people have tried the survival, and there is some sort of X factor, something special that DayZ has that these other games don't have. But the thing is, you can't look at Tarkov and also not say that it has an X factor. Like Tarkov absolutely
got 20 of them.
Exactly. Tarkov also has some inexplainable spark that keeps you addicted to this terrible, terrible game. And so, you know, you look at a game like Scum or Deadside, and you can be like, you can make an argument that that's just like they're just trying to modernize DayZ and just kind of just put their spin on it and then do it whatever. But Tarkov very clearly from its inception is changing the way you play a game. It's a brand new thing. And so all of the things that DayZ has been able to push through, and you can still have a good experience with open world and with VoIP, really lead me to agree that so much of the stuff that we complain about on this podcast, so much of the stuff that I complain about when I'm playing the game, become infinitely more palatable as issues with open world and VoIP. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like I play DayZ, dude, and I think I've killed at this point I've probably played 10 hours of DayZ at least. I think I've killed one person. I'm serious. I think I've killed one person.
Yeah.
I just don't like, I don't care. The fun comes from walking around and talking with people and like role playing.
Yeah.
And so like on a particularly bad day of Tarkov, even if the netcode was shitty, if I could, you know, hop in and just be like, just talk to people and you know, like all the things that come from that, it would be fucking awesome, dude. But I want to, if you're down, I want to like start to go through some of the specific things that. So let me preface this by, when I was talking with Nikita, he had basically said like he doesn't know about the specifics. They haven't made up their mind yet. They haven't decided. But there's kind of these ideas around potentially, because I wanted to know, like with DayZ, the fact that you can like
stay on
when you die,
server.
you spawn somewhere, but like you can go back to where it might take you an hour, but like you can go back to where you were, you know, and all this stuff. I'm like, is that like that's a crucial element to it?
Yeah,
that you're on like one server. And he basically said he said he didn't say no, but he said that like that's not what the plan is, but they haven't really codified it yet. There's the concept of like being able to send in friends or being able to somehow get back into a map with an item, which I don't know anything about. I don't know if that's just like a GPS tracker. You know, maybe if you have a GPS tracker in your bag, unless it's found and like deactivated, then maybe you can go back in. I don't know.
That would be an interesting. So I totally am down to exactly what you want. Like, let's dive into that and dive into like why that would be an important part of the game or something like that. But that would be an interesting, I guess, better. Do you think that would be an interesting way to do it? To like,
no.
Okay. Just to like alleviate for the people that don't care about getting back in, that they can just like shove onto like whatever open server. But the people, if there was like an item to invest in, a GPS thing that you bring in raid for people that wanted to do, I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah,
We're theory crafting,
it's
right?
It's one of those things that like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't do an item, but like the more when we get into this, I think people will be able to understand what's in my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's the same thing with VoIP. How when we talked about VoIP, he's basically like, oh, we're not going to make it proximity VoIP. It's going to be like you have to go up to somebody and, you know, close enough to where you can hit the want to team up. And like, my response to that has always been like, it's the feature with the same name, but it's losing all of what makes it amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole concept of open world is like, it done one way, it's an inconvenient and annoying change to the game. Done it another way, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So I think, so when I asked him, basically like, if you haven't made up your mind, are you willing to hear ideas or to take feedback? Because I would be willing to spend the time to do the design in a video saying, here's what it would be like. And he was like, yeah, go for it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing.
Yeah.
And of course everybody, you see everybody in chat is all talking about how the VoIP would be toxic, which is just, it's one of these things like I have to roll my eyes at, because we've debunked how it's something that we should really worry about. That's going to be an issue 800 billion, 1,000 million, gajillion times.
Yeah.
And all the negativity towards it, all these people knee-jerk reactions. It's that kind of thing that is what makes Nikita go, oh, well, then we'll just make it so that you have to be close by to someone. And
yeah, exactly.
You have to, and it's like,
it's going to ruin it.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So your misunderstanding of a feature that you can turn off, you know, like,
exactly. That's what's
is leading to, you're going to make the developers do it the wrong way, and it's going to completely make it fail.
Yeah. Because it's just like, just the just final answer to like VoIP would be toxic is like, go play DayZ. It's like, do you not think people stream DayZ? Do you think people, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm sure that people run across people that are yelling random stuff or potentially inappropriate stuff. Like, I'm sure that happens, but it's like, I don't know where we lost so much faith in humanity that like, if you give me a voice to speak, all I know are obscenities and racism. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would everyone in the whole world, like, you can turn VoIP off and experience the game completely normal, and we can have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
And Tarkov's a different game than a lot of those other games, and because it has much more like stakes, much more on the line. The fact that you can turn it off again makes it so that like there's no reason to say don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
but I will say that a part of me does really empathize with the people that are in chat and are saying that VoIP would be toxic, VoIP would be terrible. And we talked about this. Like, we don't have to go all the way through why. If you want to know why VoIP would be great for the game, go watch the episode with Aqua. That's basically what we talked about the whole time. But like, I will say that I was very much so team like, I don't care if they do VoIP as long as they give me an option to turn it off, and I'd rather them develop literally any other feature of the game until I played DayZ. Because I came from console, I have only played Tarkov on PC. That's it. And so I was like, why would I ever want to team up with a bear? You know what I mean? Why would I ever find somebody and not instantly want to kill them? And I probably only have like 12 hours in DayZ total. And we came on that podcast and I was like, I completely switched my opinion. It's absolutely necessary. It's just like, it's a complete different way to experience the game. And and more people than you think want to experience the game that way. So I would really recommend anybody that hasn't experienced VoIP in a game like DayZ, just go check it out, because it's so much different than people think it will be. I don't know why. It's weird.
I never, in my time playing DayZ so far, I've come across a lot of people who just kill on sight, who are complete and utter douchebags. Yeah. And at no point has anybody said anything that was like racist or bullshit or whatever. Like when I go on Mordhau, I have to turn off the text chat because it's just like, it's like, actually I previewed part of my video where I had, I had like Call of Duty, Valorant, Mordhau, a whole bunch of different games, and literally 2 of the clips I had to put a black box over the text chat because it was like, oh shit, like I didn't realize that someone was saying these things, and I don't want them to be in like this video forever. Any
argument that would be made that you shouldn't have VoIP, you could make the same argument that you should turn off chat while streaming. just don't let people chat. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you just think that because people can speak, they will speak the worst things in the world, some people will, but like, you know what I mean? And those people get banned. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and it would be even better imagine if you had the ability to turn it off like whole hog, but if you also had the ability, just how you can report somebody, if you had the ability to mute one person. So if a stream sniper it wants to abuse it and wants to come find you over and over again and spam, you can just keep it on for everybody and turn him off.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? He's got to buy the game again, make another account. There's only so many people that are willing to spend 40 minutes to find you in an open world game just to get 2 seconds of, before you mute them.
Yeah.
So it's like, it would be trivial. And I think that they should just do it because so many aspects, and I think we should just get into it now. So many aspects of the game that they talked about make no sense given Tarkov now, but make total sense given open world and the VoIP. One of them being, well, first of all, if you think about just doing quests and like karma and teaming up right now, some of the coolest moments I've ever had in Tarkov come from using the janky, usually one-sided, shitty comm system.
Oh, yeah.
That you can never quite say what you want to say. And, I mean, sometimes it's funny that, sometimes you're like, you want to tell the guy, don't do that. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, oh, shit. Like, so it's like part of it is funny that it's like ambiguous, but you could still do that with, in the future. I don't think they should turn it off.
No.
But like, there's some amazing things that happen when you can get somebody to not shoot you and to partner up. Now, the only reason why that doesn't happen more is because either people don't know how to use the voice comms, or they have no reason otherwise to trust you. And part of that comes from, it's almost always the non-verbal communication around, we are not going to fight, I'm going to peek, don't shoot me. Which almost always is, hold your fire, knives only, you knife the wall, chink, hold chink, your fire, chink, 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 which is like, and you still just have to peek, and like, you are, at that point, it's like you're at the whim of game theory, right? Like, if you don't trust them, but they trust you, it just always ends up with people getting fucking shot on sight. But imagine if you come across some dude in factory. Let's say you're a kitted out Chad, and you see a dude up in the metal fucking box up at the top of the stairs, and he's like, bro, wait, chill. Like, I'm like, let me just plant this for the fucking delivery for the past quest, dude. I'd be like, hey man, I got your back. I'll cover you.
100%.
And I'd be like, I'm coming up right there. I'm not gonna shoot you. if you want, I can defend you and I can escort you out. They'd be like, yeah, dude, thank you so much. You know what I mean? Like, I would literally, if I was doing quests, I would come with Bitcoin in my fucking container and say, if you escort me and you don't kill me, I will pay you a Bitcoin.
That would be amazing.
Before we get out.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
But that's actually like, so you added VoIP, right?
Yep.
Proximity-based VoIP, and now you've had all of these crazy, amazing interactions that is so much more dynamic than you see them, you shoot them. You see them, you shoot them, which is fine. You can still play like that.
You can still play like that.
But it adds a whole other layer there.
Yeah.
And now it also adds like almost like an economy.
Yep.
Where imagine if you were on a server, you could say, oh, okay, we're on the server. Let's say the server's going to be alive for the next 5 hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you need help doing something, I'll be your fucking hired gun.
Yeah.
I'll meet you here at sundown, at these coordinates.
Yep.
Mark it on my map, and we'll put a thing on the fucking, compass or whatever, and we'll meet here at this time. Yep. And we can go do your delivery from the past, or we can go kill Rashala if you want, or we can go do whatever, and I'll help you. And, there's like now an economy, that gets created. So now you can actually have like, it's almost like all these features around like economy and jobs and hired men and hired gear. These are things that you could, without even building into the game, there would be forums that would open up.
Yeah, for sure.
That would basically say, that would be like, hire me to go do this thing for you. I'll do it for 3 Bitcoin per hour or whatever. That would come from just being able to communicate with people.
Yep. Think about like,
it would be amazing.
Think about being able to like set up ambushes on people. Like if you meet friendly people and you've got friends at customs in a certain place and you're like, hey, I have to go plant the thing at customs. Can you guys come with me and help me out? And then your like squads are all up on snipers and they just like eliminate them. Like think about the like storylines, like some of the DayZ content I've watched where people like infiltrate factions and are there for like days or weeks on the server and then just completely betray everybody. And what's crazy is that like like you were saying, all of this, what's crazy, what I don't understand why people are so against these ideas is that I'm not shocked that people have different interests or ideas of what they want the game to be, but all of these things wouldn't affect if you wanted to play Tarkov exactly as it is right now in open world. You could do that. Like that's what's crazy is that this wouldn't infringe on if you liked how Tarkov is now and that's all you wanted, but just open world.
I'll tell you why they're against it. I'll tell you why they're against it
at all. You could turn mute, VoIP off, never hear anything, shoot on sight, take all the loot. But for other people, it opens up a literal Pandora's box, an endless sea of additional content and fun. And it's just so weird that people are so like gatekeepy on.
Wait,
like,
I think the Pandora's box is something you don't want to open.
Maybe that's
No, it's not a great.
Well, it depends on how good you are at Tarkov. No, yeah, but you know what I mean. It's so weird.
The reason why, it's the same reason why, and again, I'm gonna have a million people all fucking come up with a million reasons why they think it's different, but. Meet me, catch me outside with your thesis, and by all means we can do our debate. But it's the same reason why random non-streamers, non-content creators laugh and meme at like TTV. By the way,
yeah,
it's because a bunch of big name streamers said over the course of a few months, VoIP is going to be bad because it's toxic because they're used to playing Minecraft or Roblox or whatever.
Yeah.
And, there's just a lot of shitty screaming kids. And the viewers, there are thousands and thousands of viewers that the big streamers get. They just, like, chisel into stone what big streamers said.
Yeah.
And I can't like VoIP because whoever doesn't like VoIP.
They don't like VoIP.
Whoever it is, it's the people just latch on to what the streamers say, and they're not critical thinkers. And they just... It would be so bad. Like, since when is Twitch chat so concerned about streamers getting banned? In any other context, Twitch chat is telling the streamer to go on Google Images and type in, like, bad dragon.
Yeah.
Like, in every other context, Twitch chat doesn't care. But then all of a sudden, all these kids now are like, I don't want VoIP. You streamers, you got to worry about it. What? No. Like, you don't care about that. You just heard, like, Cotton or whoever say that it would be bad.
Yeah.
But it's just not. I just don't think that's the only thing I can come up with That's the only thing that I can explain.
That's true.
Because it doesn't make sense because they haven't thought about it, because they're not thinking for themselves, because they just heard it and they've made up their mind. You know, if you can click a box and turn the feature off,
yeah, exactly.
Your argument is invalid.
And it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't in any way infringe on how you would want to play the game if you wanted to do it. It literally only benefits the people that want to participate in like a broader scope and all sorts of different ways. It's wild. And going back to what just to reiterate how dangerous it is, like if we just continue to just say super, like finally it's going to be toxic, it's going to be awful, exactly, they're going to implement it in a way that is unusable. Like, so you were saying that they have talked in the past about like, yeah, you have to get up to somebody, you have to almost like, there's like a handshake, you have to, you know, press Y and then they have to press Y, or you have to get a radio and then you get the radio and then they get the radio and then you click it to the same channel and then it's VoIP, and it's like, whatever, like
without VoIP, that whole process becomes impossible. Like you need VoIP to even get close enough to use VoIP.
Yeah, yeah, seriously, because you would never be able to you'd never be able to do that in game, because there'd be no reason to abandon the kill on sight mentality that the game currently is. It's just like there's often no reason to using the in-game comms. And that's what's crazy, is that some of the most viewed clips, even in the community, some of the most shared clips among the community are when somebody can convince somebody to chill over the crappy voice comms that, well, not crappy, they're actually really cool. There's a lot of them, but like you were saying, you can't ever say what you want to say. So that makes the system really hard. But some of the most fun clips to watch are when somebody can convince, like Smoke does this all the time. He can actually convince somebody to hang out with him, and he'll say, loot this, loot that. He'll get them looted. He'll get that. And people are in like awe. They're like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then after like 10, 15, 20 minutes of that, a buddy of mine actually got to be a battle buddy. He was in a factory raid with Smoke. And after like 20 minutes of Smoke gearing him up, a scav killed him. And Smoke's chat was like, no! Like, it was a huge thing. It was fun to watch. It was fun to participate in. It was content. And
dude, I dropped a money case full of Bitcoin for a dude one time,
and nobody's
who didn't kill me.
Experience was ruined. It was just, it would be so good for Tarkov, bro.
Dude, and imagine this. I'm just throwing shit against the wall. This is stuff I thought of literally 4 fucking seconds
before the podcast.
No, like 4 seconds after one of the things I just said out loud. I was like, oh my God. So the karma system. Imagine if you agree beforehand to group up with VoIP, right? Yeah. The guy's in factory and you're at the top of the stairs and he's like in the safe room.
Yeah.
If he's like, you know, bro, like let's team up. There's a bunch of people exfil camping or whatever. Like, if you ignore the double agent kind of cool shit that you could potentially do, like if you say, all right, I'm going to trust you, and you group up. Imagine if you're like, okay, cool, man, I'm coming in right now. Imagine if you could go up to somebody, and if you press that button, hey, you want to party up? They say yes. What that does is it almost makes it so that a post fact, like you're a party after the fact in a raid, so that if you anybody, like any of the XP, or there could be a function of any of the XP or quest success that you or they get, the other person gets plus rep, plus karma. So if you find 2 people and you could, if I'm a chat, I could walk in there and easily kill 2 level 12s, right? But if I find out they're doing something, I could be like, you guys want to fucking die, or you guys want to be homies? I'll help you out, or I'm gonna come in there and kick down the door and murder both of you. Like, there's no fucking way you're gonna kill me. I saw both you got ketters, you know, like ain't gonna happen. They'd be like, well, half the time they'd be like, Veritas, is that you? But like they'd be like, you know, yeah, whatever. So then if you went in there and you're like, want a party? They say yes. That actually, it doesn't just tell you the name.
Yep.
That actually does something on the back end where it's like, okay, player 1, 2, 3 and player 4, 5, 6 are now coupled together. So then later when you exfil, it could say, oh, player 1, 2, 3 just completed 3 quests. This person was in their party.
Yep.
I should give them plus rep. And you can also give them like huge minus rep if they die or if they turn on you, or whatever. Like if anybody in your party kills them, like there's so many interesting things that aren't super complicated that they could do to make it to make this really cool. And imagine if once you fall below a certain point or above a certain point, you either can't buy from traders or you get discounts on stuff. Like,
bro, that is wow. That's wow. Because they were already
how simple is that?
Because they were already talking about doing that little handshake thing to enable VoIP. But if you have VoIP and then you use that as a way, because that way you can suss out people that are trying to trick you, because if they won't accept the handshake, like, yo, let's party up, homie. If they won't do it, then you cannot trust them. And then if they do it, there's incentive to, like, it doesn't mean you can't play as like a marauder or as a scallywag and you can't betray people, but it means that there are consequences to that. Star Citizen is doing a lot of that with like prison gameplay, where if you break the law, you actually go to jail, and they're having like they've been talking a lot recently about how to balance that in a way that makes pirating gameplay still fun and engaging, but risky, but not so risky that it ruins your experience. And you could absolutely do that. Exactly. They're already talking about the karma system and the traders and your like factions, and it would make so much sense where it would actually have some sort of negative impact on your way to play the game in a way that would, 80% of the people that would be jerks just to be jerks would maybe think twice. And then the 20% of the people that just want to be jerks can absolutely have fun just being dicks and turning on people. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And then imagine a radio system like I've gotten a radio in DayZ and I like know how it works, but I've never actually used it. But I'm just think about if there's a radio with like 4 or 5 channels or something. Imagine you're in the open world and you're maybe a new guy, right? And you're like, hey, is anybody out there? Like, I need help. I'm surrounded by Scav boss. I'm level 4 and I have the golden pocket watch, but I'm fucking surrounded. Like, can anybody help me?
Yep.
Like, I'd be like, I'm on my way, bro. Like to be able to either help or now 3 or 4 other squads are all gonna come and be like, well, now I'm gonna poach like fucking the scavenger, the whatever the birds, what are they called?
Like crows?
No.
Vultures,
just like fucking circling around like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna wait around the wall of the customs thing because now I know that there's gonna be someone rocking out and I want to make their life worse. Like, it adds a lot of different elements, good and bad, but it's just an infinite amount of more content. And here's the thing, think of how many experiences and how many hours of gameplay we just created by literally adding what we're doing right now, which is just voice chat, to make it proximity based. You don't need any more guns. I'm like, Nikita, you could connect the maps. Don't add any more guns. Don't add any more armor. Don't add any more maps. I mean, they plan to, but I'm like, don't add anything. The game, it now has 1,000,000 times more replayability than it does if you add 1,000,000 more guns. Because the guns don't add to replayability. They just have more options for things and more screens for me to go to and more whatever for me to buy in between me being, raged at this fucking terrible game.
Dude,
but
imagine like posting on, like you were saying, forums would come up for like bounty hunters or for people that want to help, or people like, imagine posting like, hey, I'm going live for the next, I'm hopping on for the next 6 hours. This is my radio frequency. Call if you need help. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
be doing runs. You can hire me.
I'm gonna be hanging out around customs.
And then that whole like contract thing comes through where, maybe if there's a way to see somebody's rep too. Like, how right now you see the, whatever their name greets you. If in just parentheses it said like -65, or you'd be like, oh fuck. Now if they were like +80, I would feel instantly, would be like, oh my god, or they're like level 12 and it's like +8. It's like, oh, that's really good. Like they're new, but they're, it's positive. I'll escort them out. If they say they're going to pay me a Bitcoin, we go to the end and I put my fucking gun up to their forehead. And I'm like, you said you were going to pay me. I just fucking helped you through all this shit. Now it's a standoff. If he says no, you can kill him you'll get minus rep, but at least there's consequences for not listening, right? Or he's going to be like, yeah, man, here's
the Bitcoin.
I told you. And then you can shake hands and say, thank you, you didn't betray me, plus rep for both of you. Yeah. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good, dude. And the other, there's a few, this wasn't even like the thing I was excited about. These weren't even the things I'm excited about. And then just VoIP and some radios and Karma now instantly made the game 1,000 times better for me.
Times better, yeah.
So the really interesting things that I wanted to talk about is how like the server and the instance would work. So if you think about the way that DayZ works, are there servers? Is it like an hour? How long are the servers go? I mean, I'm sure it's probably different.
Yeah, I think it's different, but I was playing a lot on like the day one servers, and I think it was every like 2 to 4 hours, somewhere in that time zone, that they would reset.
Yeah, so
unless 30 minutes out, 15 minutes out, 5 minutes out.
And there are numbers that would be good and numbers that would be bad, and this is honestly what I'm planning to do for this video. Where I want to actually do a simulation to be like, here's what a raid could look like. This person has this plan, these people have this plan, and actually run through with like the time to see like would it all work, how long would it take, all these things. How would you do quests? But let's just say it was 4 hours. 4 hours is, I mean, that's 4 raids, right? Like how many raids are you 45? I mean, that's like, so maybe it's 4, maybe it could be more. I don't think it could be less than 3.
Yeah,
I feel like 3 or 4 hours would have to be the minimum. But let's just say the server starts at a time, and let's just say for the sake of argument, there's 100 people. I don't know. Like I haven't thought about what would work. And let's ignore the technology. That's a whole different conversation. It's fucking possible. It all just comes down to whether or not it's what they want. But let's just say there's 100 people, and let's say there's 5 hours. Let's just say that. If one of the first things that came to mind when I started to think about this stuff is given like you have choices. Let's say when you join a server, I mean, you might be joining it right when it starts at the 5 hour mark, or there might be 2 hours left. So like already it's super dynamic, you know, like it's like how crazy and unpredictable are scav runs. Every single PMC run is going to be like that because it's anybody could be anywhere at any time, right? Like that's the coolest part about scav runs is how random they are. So making it so that all raids are like that in some way would be cool. But the way that I think about it is almost like the way that the game used to be, where when you had a map, if you brought a map with you, you could choose the spawns. Did you ever play?
I never played, but I've seen old videos of how the game was like that.
You used to be able to play like on customs, either boiler side or
Big Red.
Or Big Red. Like those, you could choose either or. Boiler side was like you'd spawn in and it was like where the people instantly start fighting. It was a shit show. Sometimes people would spawn in front of you, like directly in front of you when they weren't even like your teammate.
Jeez.
There's a video of me on woods, one of the old videos where I spawned in on woods, and I'm like, okay, here we go, and all of a sudden a dude just appears and like pulls out his AK-74, and I'm just like, bang, what the fuck? Back when the spawns you could select them, but the way that I think about it is like you can choose. You can choose a spawn anywhere around the map. And this is not the way that I think it should be. This is just a starting point for the discussion.
Yeah.
Let's say you can choose one of those places on the map. From there, you have a set number of exfils. So like you can go from like one corner to the other corner, or across the way, or like there's some far ones and there's some closer ones, but you can't just go to any exfil, right? And you can't go to any spawn. And the way I think about it is you choose from the spawns, but maybe if you choose one, you can't go to that spawn again. So like if you spawn in and you go do something and you die, well, now you can spawn in, but it's going to have to be a little bit further. So if you want to get back, it's going to be a little tougher. And then if you die again on the way, you'd be able to choose a different one, but you'd have to like run across all of customs.
And dude, I only
it like balances.
Yep. I played the day one servers, and then with Lennon for like 2 nights I played one heavily modded DayZ server, and that was exactly the system. When you died, instead of you just clicking spawn and you spawning somewhere on the map, it gave you, you know, DayZ map is huge, but it gave you like 8 choices. And it was like, oh, pick this one, it's close to where we are. And if you picked that one again and you died on the way, you didn't get that choice again. Like, that exact idea is implemented, and it works great, exactly, because then you can't just spam a certain location. There's even still more weight to dying, because you're like, now I have to frickin' spawn in customs, and I'm going all the way to shoreline, you know what I mean?
But at least totally agree. And the best part of that is, so here's the thing. Some people, like the people that don't like the idea of being able to like, if you die, when you go to start a new raid, like, you're on this server, so like your body is there, and the person that killed you is there looting you right now. Let's say you have a quest item on you, like the pocket watch or whatever. Now there's 2 elements to this. One just popped into my head. The golden pocket watch, that's a different item type, right?
Yes.
It's like a quest item that people can't loot. Imagine if those things, like, they're not lootable, but you could loot it from yourself.
Yeah.
So you could essentially, like, if you got halfway to the extract with the pocket watch and died, you have at least 4.5 hours to go back there and almost like do like a relay race to get it piece by piece to like where you want to go, right? Like, piecemeal, you'd be able to. So it's that right there is all instantly better for new players, because it gives them like multiple chances. But it's still not like, you can't say it's not hardcore if it takes you 40 fucking minutes and 9 tries every time to go do it, but you did it. That's no more soft core than just spamming hatchet running to get the pocket watch over and over and over again.
And there's the RNG of, like, if you started that quest near server reset, like, I only have time for 1 more. If I die on this run, it's going to be server reset, and I'm going to have to go back to customs. You know what I mean? So it's like, once again, it doesn't just instantly make it softcore super easy. Oh, just hatchet run it. Like, if anything, it's a reason to, like, actually truly play the game, go in with gear, because if you can find your body's probably looted. But if there was like a special item container that, only if it was your body, you could see what was in there. There's a quest item, you grab that, and then you keep on moving. Like, that would be,
and then
it would actually eliminate, the hatchet spam around quest places, because you could make it halfway there, die, and then now I have to go there, instead of keeping those places high traffic with low gear people just trying to get their quests done. Like,
they could even, with this system, they wouldn't necessarily have to, but I think honestly they could get rid of insurance, because you're essentially like your own insurance. If you want, you can go grab your shit and try to get out with it. But like, think about if they're a newbie and you have an SKS, right? Like, and it's a stock SKS with PS ammo. If you get killed by a squad, they're not gonna fucking take your SKS, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have to wait 2 days to get it back. You can get it, like, I'll just stop by my body on the way and grab, you know, a couple of things that I wanted. Maybe there was like, maybe you had a hose and some bolts, and you need those for your thing, but people aren't gonna pick them up because it's junk. They've already maxed everything out. You now know that there's still stuff there that you have a chance of getting back. So it gives you additional goals and motivations. Like, every raid is not just, I'm going to go and try to get the golden pocket watch. Now it's, I'm going to go and try to finish doing the golden pocket watch, try to make the progress that I did, but it's now different the second time because my body's here. And I know that there are guys around. So then there's that element. But then there's also the issue of, like, Tarkov, you can't say that Tarkov isn't skill-based.
Yeah.
But there's some element where, like...
But there's more to it than that,
There's more... If you have a straight-up fight looking at, you know, one person versus one person, yes, I would argue it's skill-based. But then there are times where if someone just sits there and they're AFK, you know, there are times where I go and take a piss. I'm AFK in a bush. I come back and I come out of the bush and there's 2 dudes standing there with their back to me. It's like, I'm not better than you. I wasn't even being sneaky. It was just unlucky. So if I'm, let's just say I'm a really shitty player and I, you know, am slow looting and I'm not a good fighter or whatever, I might kill you. But you have the chance as the other player who's like, no, I like 2 out of 3, you know, like I'm give me another shot at those guys because I think I can take them. So if I lose to a squad, let's say I kill 4 out of 5, right? If I kill 4 as a solo player, I kill 4 out of 5 and the 5th kills me. I have about the same average time to get back there to try to wipe them all and maybe grab as much as I can and get out. So it makes the whole like, now if I kill a squad and they all rage quit or something, right? Or I'm able to repeatedly kill a squad, now I can take out 10 sets of gear from these fucking kids that I just played so hard. Whereas before, you could only take out 2 things of gear and you'd have to drop your own. And then you get out of the raid and it's like, that's it.
That's it.
So that actually even solves the problem of wanting to like extract loot that we've talked about before, because you're the one doing it. Go to any exfil. The first time, you go to the first exfil, and then from there you're gonna spawn a little bit further. You go and get all the shit and maybe kill them again, because maybe they're sitting there looting their corpses, you know, and then you can kill them again. Maybe they gear up again. So maybe it's almost like gambling where, you know, you're just throwing more in. Like now I'm gonna get my night vision and my fucking, you know, my thermals and my grenade launcher, and we're gonna really go for it. And then you fucking wipe them again because you're just better. It makes it so that like it becomes more skill based. In the same way that a 2 out of 3 tournament is better than a single elimination.
Exactly.
Because it's like everybody gets more tries, but it's in a way that isn't like abusable. Because there's some control over it.
Exactly. And because you couldn't, like, in theory, you know what I mean? Somebody would say, like, well, you know, that's all you'd spend the day doing is like you and those squads would just keep running back to that spot. But it's like, why doesn't that happen in DayZ? Well, because as soon as you start shooting, the 11 other players in the area go, hey, there's shots over there. You know what I mean? So like the third time you met up with that 5-man again, there's a 3-man brand new to the scene and they start taking shots at you. And now you decide, okay, I've played these kids enough. I'm going to cut my losses and dip. And now that's a different engagement. It's like, it's not like you would just keep, the same people would just keep coming back there all 4 hours of the server. Like it's a living world. Anything would be possible. It would be possible to play the same team over and over and over again. It would be possible to third party. It would be possible for you to go to your body, not find any of the loot, and 2.5 hours later kill the guy, and you're like, that's my gun. You know what I mean? Like that's my stuff. Like that would be crazy.
And then imagine there's all these dudes, there's just been a shit show, right? Like out in the grassy area between the 2 dorms is where it just keeps going down. At some point, you know, whether it's close to the end of the raid or, you know, the end of the server, at some point you would just kind of like, there's no reason if they grab all the good stuff, that 5-man squad is like, we got most of the good stuff. We're not going to go back for all of the rigs and the low tier stuff. The newbie who got trounced on 17 times, there's still going to be leftovers. So it's like you're almost doing your own scav run.
Exactly.
Like it just makes sense.
It
just makes sense.
All that stuff that you go, especially early game, that you go for in a scav run where you're like, dude, I need some backpacks and some rigs, and you know what I mean? Like there's going to be that stuff all over the place. You know what I mean? You can roll up to it like a freaking battleground and there's no way all the loot is taken. You know what I mean? A decently modded AK got ditched for like a meta one, and you pick it up and you're like, oh sweet, like, you know what I mean?
That's good enough. Like, fuck yeah, this got a red dot. Oh my god, I remember the first time I got a red dot on a gun. It was like the most amazing. Dude, one of the first videos I had was an AK with a dot on the front. And that was it. No foregrip or whatever. And I just remember being like, I am fucking elite, dude. Like I've got no iron sights. Like this is all. I am the shit. You know. So like, it just like. It's good in so many ways because it gives skilled players extra chances to redeem themselves if they just got unlucky or they got fucked by a bug, or let's just say you got cluster-nated by the AI in some bullshit obscure area that no one's gonna find your body.
Yes.
Right now you can like try to scav in and get your stuff, but in this case it's like, well, at least I have 4 hours to like get back in there and try to get a second try for this stuff and not lose everything, because that's like, people will say, oh, it's a hardcore game. There's nothing hardcore about like either a bug or the AI being stupid and broken and just fucking you over. Like that's just frustrating.
It's not a hardcore game when they go prone, face the other direction, throw a grenade behind their head, and it just insta blows you up after you kill a 4-man and have all their loot. You're like, That happened to me on Woods the other day. I had like 2 people's worth of loot. I was on my way. I shot a scav in the face and he dropped prone and then I died. And I was like, I don't get that loot. Like there was like 7 minutes left in the raid. There's no PMCs left. Nobody scavs on Woods. So it was like, oh, okay, nobody gets it. The game just ate it. Cool beans. You know what I mean? Like there'd be a way to go get that back. Like,
and imagine if labs didn't have any spawns or exfils near it. So if you want to go to labs, you'd spawn somewhere and you have to travel there, but it's like customs maybe has like 6 spawns, you know, and like 5 exfils or something, but like labs doesn't. So the closest you can get, it's going to be like a 25-minute run to get to labs. That instantly makes it so that like they could almost get rid of the key card and just make it so that like it just, the risk now comes from all the extra time and effort it takes to go all the way there, make it out and come back. That already like balances like the issues with loot. And if I go and I kill every fucking PMC in there, or if I wipe labs, take down all the raiders, now like I could just, maybe nobody went labs this time. Maybe, you know, maybe labs is like the military base in DayZ where, you know, people want to go for like the high tier PvP or whatever. Maybe there's just not that many people that have gone there, and you can go and do laps and grab all the
100%.
There's 12 raiders I just killed. That has the next 4 hours of me going to labs, picking up the stuff, doing a trip, filling my bag, and coming back. And now all of a sudden it's like I got to bring water with me. I got to all these things make sense because you're going to be running around for 5 hours, not for 25 minutes.
Exactly.
So you got to pay attention to all these things. You're all constantly going to be running. It'll be seamless. I just like, dude.
No, seriously, it's exactly. I mean, the Northwest Airfield in DayZ is labs. It is a place on the map with a high concentration of the top tier loot, and because of that, a high concentration of end game PvP. But the Northwest Airfield in DayZ does not require a key card because winning there doesn't mean you've won. If you try to bring that gear back to your base, you still have to haul it, 30 kilometers or whatever back to your base. Like it's, you could make an argument that you could potentially get rid of the key card because of how much additional risk is placed on the front and back end. And like you were saying, then how much more willing would you be to go back into labs if you did get a bag full of loot out? You know what I mean? Because then if you go back and you die, you're like, okay, I lost this kit, but I still got a bunch of stuff out. So you'd be willing to go back and try again because like every time you make it out, it's just like crazy profit. But then you might die, and that's okay. Like
the thing is that the game is still hardcore, and the game is still punishing, but it's like in all of the best ways. Like it sucks when you die in Diablo unless it's hardcore mode, but like at least you can still get back and grab your gear off your dead body. There might be mobs around, so you might still have to clear them, but like you drop all your gold and maybe you lose 20% of the gold that you had on you or whatever, but like you get to pick it back up. It's still like you can still get fucked and it can still be super hardcore. And yet the game isn't punishing in the way that it, like the distinction between like bad design and like indifferent. It still is like you can go and you can die over and over and over
and have your,
and you'll lose everything. And if you go and you just repeatedly keep getting fucked and you get unlucky, that's why, if there's no insurance and you're your own insurance, sorry, bud, like that's more punishing or hardcore than the game is now. But it's also, for most people, most of the time, it can be more rewarding and less shitty and punishing because you get like multiple chances to do things. And it like instantly gives you don't need like think about daily quests and then think about all the things we just fucking talked about. Like fuck daily quests. The daily quests are just arbitrary things that they're going to tell me to do that are going to be pulled from like a Mad Lib. Grab X amount of things from X map this many times or kill this many PMCs with this gun. It's not going to be fun or interesting. But then imagine if it's like, okay, I just spent all this time doing crazy PvP, but now I'm low on ammo and I'm low on meds and I'm low on food. I am going to do therapist runs so I can go fill my bag with meds and water and go do runs back and forth. So now you spend a day gearing up. So now you have my like USB is coming unplugged.
Oh, really? I don't hear or see anything.
I can hear like boop, 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 boop. My keyboard's flashing. But yeah, you just have all this
trader runs
like
would
all
be
of this,
sick, yeah.
Dude, it's so fucking good. It's like when you have to go get food in DayZ. It's not a quest. It's just a function of an open world survival game that you always have to balance.
Yeah.
Well, I need gear, I need guns, I need ammo, I want to explore, I want to do combat. You do combat a bunch. Well, now I need to fresh.
Exactly.
It adds like an actual fucking gameplay cycle.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine that being like, dude, I just came off of 3 solid days of nonstop PvP. It was so much fun. I got a bunch of cool armor. I got a bunch of cool guns, but I got no 5.56. You know what I mean? I got no ammo. Like, I need to go see, proper, I need to go find them. And you have to I mean, they talked about in the post that the traders would be physicalized, and they even talked about like safe zones so you can get scums while you're there, but you still have to go buy the thing and get out with it. You know what I mean? So you still have to make it out. So it's the whole day. It's like, all right, I gotta do loot runs. I gotta go stock up on meds. I gotta stock up on ammo. I got tons of cool guns. I'm gonna use this stuff. You know what I mean?
Holy fuck. There's a couple more things. I need to write this down because I can't fucking forget. There's a couple things here. One, imagine if you could, just like the quests, just like your quest stash, imagine if, I think that there'd be something they have to change to balance this. Oh, well, actually, wait a minute. I was going to say you can, oh my God, dude, this fucking solves one of the biggest issues, I think, in the game. The fucking gamma container, your alpha container, your kappa container, or whatever. Imagine if you could always get what's in there. People can't loot it, but you have to get back to your body, and you have to extract with it live.
Yeah. It's like it's secure from other people looting, but you have to return to your body to get it.
So now there's actually there is some risk in what you take with you, so you don't always want to take your entire fucking key bar. Maybe you just want to do marked room, or dorms runs or something. Yeah. There's something interesting there where it makes it so that like dying is still bad, but then at the same time it's still punishing, but in a way that's like in between, like hardcore Diablo. When your character dies, he's gone forever and you have to start over from level 1 versus, you die and you spawn, in COD.
Yeah.
3 feet over there with exactly where you had. So I don't know. There's an interesting stopgap that they could design about that stuff.
You could definitely explore that. Yeah, it would just be hard if you had a sick container and the server reset and you couldn't get it back to your body because people were camping it. You know what I mean? Like there'd be things to work through, but there's definitely something to explore there. Another whole thing that would be interesting is like we talk about how, you know what I mean? It's the availability of being able to take, like, you get to a point in the game where you can just, anytime you get an M4, you can turn it into like the meta 31 recoil M4 immediately. But imagine if you loot some M4s off some guys that are like, stock or mildly, and you want to get a meta, like, where's mechanic? You have to go get, you know what I mean? You might PvP and kill a guy and his backpack is just full of gun attachments. And that could be valuable to you. Like, how often do you loot the little jailbreak M4 mod if you find it in raid? No, it doesn't matter. I could just buy that when I get back. You know what I mean? But if that guy...
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Imagine if you were, like, on your way to buy some of that stuff. You kill a dude who's on his way out, you know what I mean, forever away, and he's got a backpack full of M4 parts. You're like, okay, well, before I go see mechanic, I've got to secure this stuff. So I got to go back and then back. Like, it would bring meaning to like everything again. Guns would feel really cool because you can't just go to your stash, disassemble, delete everything you don't like about it, and then assemble your preset. Like, you'd have to actually like get that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really interesting considerations where you can go and fill your bag with like 20 guns, right? Like doing a loot run. When I watch that DayZ channel,
OJ,
yeah, when I watch like they have to transfer all of their shit from one place to another, that's like get in the car and let's go. That's risky. Like, so you could either smooth it out by saying I'm only going to buy one gun at a time and I'm going to do 10 runs, or you could say I'm going to buy 10 guns and risk it all for one run. You know, but there's something interesting about like there are all sorts of interesting mechanics. Whether or not it's like I don't love the idea that I came up with like the protector case. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe there are things that you could do so that like within that 5 hours you don't have access to like your red key card anymore.
Yeah.
But then when the server resets, you get it back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something like explore, that. Yeah.
I'm going fucking crazy here, but like, imagine if there was some way to make it so that like if you're buying something in bulk, it goes in like a special container that if it gets taken, people can only take out like 90% of the stuff. So like if you're able to get it back, you always have, I bought 1,000 rounds of BS and I got killed. Yeah. I can at least get 100 if I'm able to go to back, it. Yeah. You know, it's almost like a mini temporary protector case on your gear. You know, that maybe it just has a passcode to it or something. Yeah. But imagine being able to like, you buy a container that is like a gamma, but it's like an extra container that there's a passcode that you can't open up unless you either like pay money or something. So like being able to loot somebody for expensive shit, you don't just win as soon as you kill them and put it in your gamma container. Yeah. Now it's like, I might have this little safety deposit box that I grabbed, but I can't do anything with it unless I make it to a physical location and have mechanic bust it open for me. And it's going to cost me a Bitcoin.
Something like that. Yeah.
And maybe there's nothing in it. It's like, you don't know if there's like a treasure or whatever. Yeah. It just, now that adds like the whole like opening up the marked room. Yeah. You now have an infinite number of opening up the marked rooms, you know, in a raid. So then there's that. And then when I say marked room, I'm sorry, I'm going crazy. My brain is exploding right now.
I mean, this is, I love the energy.
Like, so part of my initial reaction is like, whenever I heard open world is, well, how are they going to do loot? Like, because I thought it was like one persistent server forever. So you'd have to like randomly loot would just have to pop in over and over and over again. I don't think they should do that. No. I think everything should be dynamic loot that spawns. So it's different every cycle, every 5 hours, but everything spawns in exactly where it is. Every single boss spawns in, but in a number of different places. They're gonna always be there, but just in different places. Yeah. There's one per map, so you can say I'm gonna do boss runs, and you can, if you kill Gluhar, then you can go and do this guy. You can do this guy, whatever. Yep. Like that would be like doing bail runs or chaos runs in fucking Diablo 2, where you just will go over and over again and farm. And there's enough bosses where you can try, like if you killed all the bosses one at a time, that would take you 5 hours.
It would take you forever, especially if you're having to traverse to and from to dump your loot. It would take you forever, exactly.
And it would take you enough time.
And I don't know how games like Daisy do that, where if the server resets every 3 hours, like I don't know if they do like a mesh of that where they pop in loot every so often as well, because like
different servers are different.
Yeah,
sometimes because what happens is those servers, they shut down, and then they like whatever they do to clean up, and but the same server comes back up and you're still there. Yeah. But I wouldn't want that for Tarkov necessarily. I feel like when the server goes down, it's almost like the end of a raid now, where it's like if you don't make it out, you don't make it out. You'll just it's the equivalent of dying in a raid today, where the next time you're gonna go to your stash and your body's going to be naked and you're going to have to gear up from your inventory just like you do now. But if there's loot everywhere in any place, and if they make all of the keys super rare, they can get rid of the key durability, because the key durability doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense now, just like key cards, in the context of it's the only way that we can prevent the infinite costless spamming of the thing. But if they just made keys a lot more rare, let's say you've got a 315 key and a 217 key in dorms. Yep. If keys are rare, what are the chances that if there's 100 people, everybody has their own goals. Some people are going to want to go shoreline. Some people are going to want. What are the chances that someone's going to loot 217 and 312 on dorms? Yep. It's minuscule. So like, if that's your goal, if you just want to do runs for the couple of keys you have, if every one of those rooms is like a marked room, but maybe a little bit less, like if anything can spawn there, like now keys matter. Every key matters. You can get rid of all of the idea of like marked rooms, you know, being the only places where there's any sort of value. And you know, and then they can make it so that the marked room keys, maybe it's like all or nothing. There's either like four weapon cases in there, or there's nothing. Yeah. You know, so it's like, then you can just make it so that you can use it infinitely, but the keys are still wicked rare. So maybe you could do 3 or 4 runs and then sell it if you want to sell the key, because like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not interested in doing marked room runs or labs green room runs, you know, because that's just not the type of player I am. I'm more of a person that, you know, if you want to pay me to go deliver water to you, you know, on a daily basis, I'll do that. I don't like, you could even play Tarkov and be like not combat oriented.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like, but and the thing is that like Nikita has said before, all of these things are on like, it's not about killing, it's about survival, and it's like the gameplay loop now doesn't make sense. All the things we're talking about make a million more gameplay styles not only viable but interesting and fun and immersive, and holy fuck, dude. Like, and it makes it so that like, if it's 5 hours and there's 100 people, you don't need to respawn any items, because there's enough items, there's enough stuff all around that you only need one instance where everything spawns at the beginning. And then when that is over, shut it down, create a new server somewhere with a whole bunch of random loot,
and then
just do it all over again. It's not going to be the same thing where everybody spawns on customs and runs to dorms, and that's the only thing they do. So you know, 6 minutes and 14 seconds in, either marked room is swarmed with 20 people, or you know, it's been looted already by somebody. Now it's like any room, anywhere, anybody can be anytime. And they might be going to grab a body, you know, that they died at earlier, or this might be their 9th attempt to try to open up 217, the one key they have that they just haven't been able to make it to. So
and that's the thing.
It just
we look at the game through the lens of like, we look at the game through the lens of the minute we spawn into a raid, everybody knows there's 3 places to be. You know what I mean? If you're on customs, it's dorms, it's, you know, the crack house really early for meds, and for a lot of people like to go there for intelligence, and it's fortress to see if scav boss is there too. It's like everybody, depending on where you spawn, is going to shift W to one of those places. If you're shoreline, 98% of the spawns are just going to shift W to the resort, or they're going to go to pier or cottage and check for sanitar. We look through the game through that lens because, absolutely, like you said,
that's the only way we have been able to.
That's the only way we have been able to. That's the only way to profit. It's the only way to have fun. It's the only way to get in combat. But we have to recognize that if you spawn into the entire map of Tarkov, especially if there was like some dead space with some little copy paste towns, little shanties in between, like, it's going to be a different experience. If you can only, you know, like you can only get these spawns, but you're trying to go to the other side of the map, you know what I mean? You're not just going to spawn in and run to 310 because you have the key. If that's not what you're doing today, you're going to be moving to a different place. And so it is hard to guess.
And you're not going to be...
It is hard to guess. We might, like, of course, we're going to get some of this wrong. Of course, there would need to be additional balancing. It would be hard to guess how it would turn out and where hot zones would be. But the fact of the matter is we can't look at it through the lens of right now where it's like, oh, well, if you just spawn shoreline, you would just, and then you wouldn't be able to loot that room for the rest of the thing. It's like, well, that's if you got lucky enough.
There's more, so much more to do
get
than that.
Spawn when you needed to do that thing. So it would just, we don't really know how that would play out, but you can't look at it through the lens of the current Tarkov meta, because this would shatter that into a million pieces.
Yeah, and you could imagine, like, think about the design around the quest progression.
Yeah.
How cool it would be. Like, now Pestely's quest guide wouldn't be go to this map and do this.
Yep.
Then go to this map and do this. It would be, now you have the ability to chain together these 7. You could do one route, and if you survive, you just did 7 quests, and it's the most efficient thing because you went in this order and did all of these things. And, you know, like, that would be so fucking cool to be able to, like...
Yep. That would be nuts.
It just makes, like, thinking and planning a lot more interesting. It's like, okay, I got to bring water. I got to bring food. Let me bring all these additional things. And honestly, I feel like what it would do is it would make the raids much more dynamic and randomized in a good way.
Yep. Because
Nikita wants us to feel like anybody can be anywhere at any time. Yes. The problem is, The only time you get that feeling is if you're fucking a late spawn, and you get fucked by it. But the maps are small enough now, and we know where all the spawns are, that you either have spawn camping or exfil camping, or you just know, like, I'm too late. I have this spawn. I cannot go to Kiba.
Yep.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't do the one thing I need to do. I got the bad one, right? I'm not gonna be able to make it there. So if you, oh fuck, dude, like with this system, it would just be so fucking awesome because it would spread out.
Yeah.
It would be like, even though there's 100 players instead of 12, the map is 200 times bigger or whatever. Yeah. So you're actually like less likely to come across players. But when you do, that area now becomes a hot zone for you and them for multiple times. And if you got something to do, if you kill them and you loot them, let's say you have a quest, you're just going to go on your way. You're not going to sit there and camp their body. So maybe if nobody else heard it, you'll be able to get back most of your stuff and continue on with your shit that you were doing. Or if you killed a squad of 5 and they were doing a loot run and there's 100 guns there, you're like, I got 4 fucking hours. You call all your buddies, or whatever. Yeah. And I don't know about being able to join like specific servers, or if maybe you're just you get. I feel like it might work better if it's like you just get what you get.
I agree. And if you want to link up with your buddies, you extract from the server you're in and then queue into a server with your buddies. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing and you want to do that, I agree. But like, I mean, it even says in here in the open world thing, it says like this mode will be much slower than the gameplay style that we're used to right now. Like that's the point. Is exactly.
I played DayZ for 5 hours. Don't come across anybody. You know?
Exactly. It's like.
I don't want that.
Dude, no, but that's what's crazy is that you play DayZ for a few hours and don't come across anybody, but you're still scared to shoot your gun because you still think that you're like, as soon as I pull the trigger, as
there's gunshots, you're like, yeah, you know.
So I want something exactly. I don't think I want it that sparse, but I love that concept. I love the concept of slowing it down a little bit and making player interaction a little bit more rare. And then with the VoIP system, it's not always going to end in violence, but it can end in violence. And it's crazy. I really love that. Just even at its core, I'm super excited about even beyond like VoIP and all that stuff. Like every time I played DayZ, every time I played it, I constantly was saying to my chat, like, this plus an offline stash is my dream game. Like some sense of progression, some sense of being able to extract the loot, some sense of being able to accumulate wealth. And then, but like you were saying, there's still a push-pull. You're not just building your kingdom, right? There's still a push-pull of like, I ran out of ammo. I got some cool guns, but I ran out of ammo. And effectively, you could make the argument, well, if you're good at the game, you're just going to fill your stash and then it's just going to be full. But that's Tarkov now, right? Like, it doesn't matter what's in your stash. If you have 200 million rubles, you have a full stash. You can get whatever you want at any time. Yeah. You can have a standard edition stash, and it doesn't matter because you're just going to buy your new kit every time. So I just love even fundamentally the thought of an open world survival game where I can accumulate stuff, where I can feel like if I had a good day, I saw profit from that good day. And if I had a bad day, I still have like stuff, you know what I mean? I still have something.
The crux of all this is, think about it. How much do we rely on wipes?
Yeah.
And do we rely on them adding new quests and guns and maps?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's like, oh, well, we just need new guns, or we just need Streets of Tarkov, or we just need whatever. It's like Streets of Tarkov will come out.
It's not going to fix it.
And the game will be... It's not going to fix it. It's not going to fix it at all. It's going to be the same thing, just with one more map. Because when Interchange came out, when Labs came out, it didn't make the game any more playable. It just now made it so that I literally am that much less likely to go woods. Because now there's 7 new maps that I like better than woods, or whatever.
Yeah.
But think about it. We just said Tarkov as it is today, except make it so that the maps are connected. Which is like literally, I'm oversimplifying everything, but think about the idea of like completely redoing a quest skill system, quest system, adding a whole bunch of guns, all of those things, compared to stitching together the maps that exist so that you can go from one to the other, making it so that instead of having, there's not 12 servers with 12 maps with 12 people on them.
Yeah.
It's one server with one map with 100 people on it. I mean, it's not actually like, you're not talking about 1,000 times more difficult.
Yeah.
It really is. They need to work on some netcode stuff, but like, it's not making one server with 100 people is not 10 times harder than 10 small servers.
Yeah.
It's not. A lot of it comes down to like just being efficient about just don't load the information about, like, it's just like how they do culling. When you get far enough away, things get unloaded. They can do that with multiplayer data. That's how Valorant works. Valorant doesn't give you data on player positions in the same game on a tiny map if you're not within an angle where you can see them. So it actually makes wall hacks largely, at least theoretically, ineffective, because if someone's on the other side of the map, the game knows that there's 6 walls between you. There's no line of sight. So why even send your client the data? But if there's a wall there and you're coming about and you're like 5 degrees away from the wall, then the game's like, okay, they could peek at some point. I should give them the data. So you could still have like a wall hack, but it's only like a low FOV wall hack. Yeah. So there's ways around, like, if there's 100 people, all that matters to me is what I can fucking see and what's gonna kill me. I don't need all the rest. So they can be clever about how they do that.
Did you?
But sorry, let me just finish this idea. Stitch together the maps and add VOIP, and you have just added 1,000 years of content and replayability, and you've made the game so much better. And it, like, that right there is more. It's more content and replayability, in quotes, than 1,000 maps and 1,000 guns.
Yeah. It really is. And you could do all that stuff later. If you want to add more guns, you add them on in. If you want to extend the woods by a little bit, extend woods by a little bit. But you can do that while your community is just like enjoying the freaking hell out of the game and the experience. And you can do that at whatever pace you want. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you at least see that Unity does a podcast called Behind the Game, and they had Nikita on? Did you see that at all? So did you listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to like the first half of it, and I was trying to figure out what the timing of it was.
It was a while ago. They posted it, I think, at least 2 months after it was recorded.
So it was before. So that's interesting. So that it was before. This is so weird. All the shit's happening.
Yeah.
It was before my. This is what Tarkov is about.
Yes.
Tarkov is not meant to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And like Nikita had the comment that I've never heard him say before. That was like him saying that, it doesn't need to be fun. It's about feeling these emotions. Yes. And it was like, I was like, oh, I'm glad that I was able to like put those words in his mouth. And I was like, wait, this is for my video. I was like, what the fuck? And why are all these things that we've been talking about and so passionate about for so long all of a sudden coming out hidden of the woodwork?
Exactly. But yeah, so when interviewed, like they just dropped that podcast maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. And in that he was like, so what's been going on with the game? And then he was like, yeah, we just expanded customs. That was what Nikita said. So that gives you the time frame.
I was like, oh shit.
That gives you the time frame for when they did the thing. But so that being said, when they just expanded customs, what was interesting was that he was saying, now who knows, but Nikita was saying they were talking about Unity stuff, and the guy even asked him, like, when Nikita was talking about this, like, oh, did you do this, caching system? And Nikita was like, yeah, like they were talking about stuff I didn't understand, but they both knew what they were talking about on the Unity end. And Nikita was like, yeah, we used to stress out our servers when we would load, like 16 to 20 PMCs. He's like, now we're like breezing through 40 to 50. I think we could probably reasonably push 60 to 70 PMCs on a map right now. Just super casual, just dropping that, like, absolutely. And I was like, what? So obviously the maps are I was talking about that in chat, and people were like, oh no, please no. It's like, they're not going to put 70 PMCs on woods as we have it now. Like, that's the stupidest thing ever. But it was just so interesting to me that he seemed so confident that they're like, oh yeah, 40, 50 PMCs, easy money.
Here's the deal from like an engineering perspective, and again, I'm not a game dev, so there might be things I'm missing. Feel free to reach out to me if you guys know more specifics on it. But when you talk about scaling servers and performance, the idea of going from 10 to 100 is not the thing that you're worried about. That's never the thing that you're worried about. The thing that you're worried about is I'm now getting 10 million concurrent users when, maybe we only accounted for 500,000, right? So it's like you're talking about so many orders of magnitude more than going from 10 players to 100.
Yeah.
Is like, here's the thing. The way that the servers are running, having 10 players, that shouldn't be like, if you're struggling to have 10 and that's like at your peak, then you're like doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So like going from 10 to 100, just in terms of infrastructure, should not be massive.
Yeah. It's more, are you saying it's like more optimizing the system to deal with that many people, not necessarily like rebuilding the tech to handle that many people?
Yeah. I mean, and again, I know enough I got enough rope to hang myself, so I'm not really sure. No, I know. But there's just something about this that just doesn't seem so far-fetched. Like someone just said, it's not one instance, it's the entire server load. What's the problem is going to be if 1 million new people download the game and start playing? That is where the issues are going to come in with performance.
Which is exactly what happened to Drops.
It's not, exactly. It's not, like, they didn't add more people to a factory run.
Yeah.
That's not what affects it. So if you had the same number of players today, just split up amongst, I mean, actually, if you think about it, like, you would have 10 times as many players on 10 times as fewer servers. So they'd need like less servers. They could probably pay more for better servers because I mean, all you need to do is I don't know. There's definitely, I know that there's something I'm missing here. Of course,
but it is interesting because he gave that sentiment. He gave the sentiment of like, at one point we were struggling to make sure everything was optimized with like 15 to 16 players, but now we feel confident here. But it is interesting because, that is exactly what happened with the Drops event. They went from like 2,000 to 3,000 concurrent players. They were like, if 0.12 in the Drops event do really well, we hope to see 10 to 20,000 concurrent players. They had 250,000 concurrent players, and the BSG office was just on fire for 3 months. You know what I mean? So that was what kind of brought them to their knees before. It wasn't adding more PMCs or less. Yeah, because at no point during that, when the offices were on fire, they weren't like, oh, to temporarily help, we're going to make it so only 6 PMCs spawn on customs. Like, that wouldn't have helped. It would have hurt because they would have had to have 10 more customs raids. You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting.
Dude, the more I talk about this, the more I'm going to make a video where I walk through. So do you think it would be cool if I did a video where I literally like overhead map the whole thing? I'll draw it out and I'll be like, here's what this person could do. And I would show like a newbie doing the pocket watch quest. And I want to have it so that like this guy comes across him and then they're friends. They become VoIP friends and he's a veteran. He makes it out of here with this guy. But then on the way, they encounter these other people that are doing a mechanic run and then they kill him. And then they end up meeting back up because they died, but then they can get their shit back and finish the pocket watch. Like, I want to do a video where it's like one raid with all of these elements that we talked about to be like, this is what it could be like.
Dude, I absolutely think that's a good thing to do. And here's why. Because I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've experienced this forever. Because they've been talking about open world since before I started playing the game. I've always wanted it. Here's what happens. When I'm talking to people, when I'm playing a raid, when we're just glancing through chat and I'm like, dude, I want to do open world. A lot of times, almost all that I see is why open world would be bad. When you and me sit here for 2 hours, and once we start busting out the examples and the analogies, imagine this. Almost every time the chat blows up with goes, amazing. Oh my God, that would be amazing. So I think if you produce a video where there was just any amount of like, it's exactly like I said, guys, we can't look at Tarkov through the same lens. It would be a different game. And I'm here to tell you that game would be better. So I think a video where you were able to explain, even explain is even where you would be able to kind of like pose and theory craft about
it's a simulation about like what a raid could look like.
I think that's when the buy-in from people really starts to go, oh dang, I didn't realize that by adding VoIP it would affect that. I didn't realize that open world could mean that. I thought we were all just still going to run to dorms. Like, you know what I mean? That's where the buy-in comes in, when we can kind of theory craft this and throw some examples out. So I think that would be great. I think that'd be great. One of the biggest, because it's good to hear about open world. It's good to hear about them talking about this stuff. One of the biggest kind of like bombs for me was that sentence in the open world paragraph. And it is very likely that you will still be able to enter instance-based raids. Like, that was the bombshell for me, that like the plan is almost to be able to, if you want Tarkov the way it is, play I just want to play customs, play the open world, or play the arena. I don't know. The back end seems insane, because that would be an insane amount of servers. They would have to have the player count to facilitate it, right? But that just blew my mind that they were like, have plans to implement everything. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it really depends, because, I mean, back in the day, the whole idea of like, the player base is already so dead that, you know, anything that splits it up is going to be. Yeah. But here's the thing, like, that used to be the common paradigm before Twitch drops and before 1 billion people join. Yep. And it's like, with these new, like a whole new game essentially that we're talking about here, there'd probably be a giant influx of players that would be a lot more interested in the game. It would probably be much closer to being a little bit more mainstream, which I think a lot of like Tarkov hipsters would hate, but I'm fine with it.
Absolutely.
Like, if there's 1 million people playing, there's no reason why that should change my experience when I'm only playing with 99 other people on the server.
Exactly,
right? Like, it doesn't matter. As long as they can handle it technology-wise, it shouldn't matter. Yeah. So, like, as long as I can still get into a server, and if there's less people, the fact that the every server is instance for like 100 people. Yeah. If there's not, like, you don't have to there's no matchmaking.
Yeah.
Really, it's like, put me on the fucking first server that is available. It might only have an hour left, but you might be able to do a couple of things in that short period of time. But like,
and then you're on the list when it resets. You just hop into wherever it puts those players or whatever. Like,
yeah, but you don't have to wait for 10 other people in your same area to all be ready on the same map right now.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because now
when you think about, when you load into a DayZ server that has room, you just click play, and like 7 seconds later, you're just in. You know what I mean? Like, because all it has to do is find a spot to put you and put you there. You know what I mean? So that's so true.
It doesn't, exactly. There's no matchmaking, because it doesn't have to spawn everybody at the same time right away. That's just not how it works. There might be a little bit more of chaos in the first 30 seconds of every fucking server reset or something. Yeah. But given that everybody is going to be spread out a lot more, and if the map's going to be a lot bigger, and there's actually less of an issue around, like, right now when you go to customs, there's like 2 good spawns and all the rest of them are bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, this matters less if your goals are different. Yes. Like, if you're going to customs, you want to go to dorms or this.
Yep.
Now you're fighting against 12 people, you know, whereas that might not be your issue. And maybe if, like, you can still get stuff done.
Yeah.
If maybe you just want to spawn over on interchange and maybe nobody's doing anything on interchange, be kind of like alone.
Yep.
And for some people that might be good, especially if they're new and they're scared. All the people that want like offline mode, like, this is effectively, in some cases, like, certain things you do might feel like offline mode, but you still have the fear of anybody can be anywhere.
Yep.
So, like, I'm not just gonna hit pause and go upstairs and just let the game run, because you know, it's paused. You know, like, I don't know, dude. I just I can't think of any real downsides to it. I think that the only issues that we're gonna get, like, the negative feedback, I feel, are the people that say that this is somehow less hardcore and like more casual, or like less punishing, which, like, it's my distinction between designed badly and punishing versus hardcore. There's a difference, right? Like, it doesn't hold your hand. You don't have 8 million hit points. You know, you still can get one tapped. You still can get fucked from anywhere at any time. It's not, it doesn't make it, it's not handholdy if you get to try to kill the guys that killed you again. And that's badass.
And exactly. And in all reality, how hardcore, like if you want to really distill Escape from Tarkov in its current form all the way down, like how hardcore is spending 7 days hatchet running reserve with only a big rig, extracting with the loot, selling it all. Now I have 10 million rubles and I can buy anything I want off the flea market. It's like, oh, but
how hardcore is killing one person, filling your bag, and instantly running out.
But at least you can't. But at least you can't go back and get your loot. It's like, what? How does that? Like, I completely agree. I don't think that this in any way makes it hardcore, any less hardcore. I think if anything, it encourages players to engage in the game the way the game was designed to be engaged with, which will then highlight and accentuate the parts of the game that are designed well to be hardcore, and it'll help us leave behind potentially some of these bad habits that are actually the opposite of hardcore in its current state.
Yep, like you can run around, if you're running around like woods or like, you know, whatever, like those places are going to be the plate, like it's around the coastal areas in DayZ where it's like that's where you spawn. Those are going to be the places that like you can get stuff. It's going to be maybe a little bit more sparse, but you're not going to see, you know, there's not going to be scav raiders, and you know, unless you're a piece of shit, there's not going to be like 5-man squads marauding around this other area, because maybe there's just like it's not known for being this area. But maybe labs is where everybody's gonna fucking, like, that's where all the shit goes down. It's much harder to get there, but that's where all the squads go. You know, like, imagine, so if you're new, you're gonna stay out of that area. But
dude, imagine being like a 2-man or a 3-man and wiping like a 12 or 13-man squad, just like tracking them down. Like, I was thinking, like, imagine tracking people, right? Like if you're a solo and you see a big group right now, it's like engage with them now or never is really, you know what I mean? It's because like they're gonna go kill the raiders and leave. I'm going this way, you know what I mean?
But you can like recon, dude. Give me binoculars. 100%. Let me try to figure out where they're going, what they're doing. Because if they're going toward labs, maybe I can stake out and wait for them to leave, dude, set up an ambush.
100%.
There's so much stuff. Dude, it's so good.
Dude, imagine following, like, even just for content's sake, following a squad, watching them kill a few people and accumulate some loot, and then just like imagine picking one off and then not doing anything else and watching how, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be insane, dude. There would be, like we said, a sea of replayability. You know what I mean? No encounter would feel the same. It would be so good.
And that's ignoring every other feature that they've said that they've wanted, that we've all been like excited for, ignoring every other map, ignoring all the new content, ignoring things like fucking airdrops or dynamic events or whatever the fuck else they've talked about that all may or may not be pipe dreams. It's like, if they did that right now, you know how DayZ's been, like, people have been playing DayZ for like 10 fucking years now, and they haven't done shit to the game. Tarkov, after 6 months, everybody's like, we need a fucking wipe. Because there's nothing to do. There's nothing, like, if I'm just a level 60, I just run around and there's nothing for me to do. I have no reason to do anything. There's no goals. This instantly does that, and it would make the game, honestly, if they want to be done with this game, and they do this is their fastest ticket out of it.
Easiestly.
Give us some more guns, put 1 or 2 more maps in, and then connect all the servers, make it open world, and then step the fuck away.
Just, you know, like, there's an office, you know, one office where those guys maintain everything and make sure it doesn't burn down, and everybody else can just, Tarkov's done.
And then they're printing money, you know,
100%. Yeah. So I don't know. Once again, I'll put this in chat for anybody that's here listening, but this article will be in the show notes. It's a good read for the vision of Escape from Tarkov. I don't think we have time to go into it now because it's already pretty late, but like this once again kind of highlights, and me and Veritas were kind of like DMing about this kind of highlights this article has been out for 4 months, you know what I mean, or more. Like, you know, where is this stuff? Where do the players get this stuff? This helps, you know, kind of like clear up a lot of things about what they want the game to be. You know, you've been playing this game, you know, 1.5 years longer than I have. We both have thousands of hours in this game. You speak with the developer of the game fairly regularly. We both create content about this game, have YouTube channels with hundreds of videos. We found this article today and we both like learned stuff. We were both like, oh, like, you know how few and far between I find something out about Tarkov I didn't know unless it was breaking news. And this is 4 months old. So it just goes back to like, I feel like they need to be pushing this stuff forward. They need to put a stamp on what they want this game to be and ship it out. But before they do that, you need to make this video and send it to Nikita before they put that stamp down.
I'm going to be finishing episode 4 of getting Tarkov. That's on my plate. I've already got like 30 minutes of video done, and it's like a third of the video. So it's snowballing into a lot of shit, but I'm enjoying making it. And then right after that, the next thing on my list is this video, because now the fact that like, and I might be delusional, but Nikita convinced me with the way he responded that like, if I can make this video and show it to Nikita and you see like the response, if I'm like, if this fucking is exciting for you, you know, leave a comment or upvote this. And if it's like one of my best performing fucking videos ever, which honestly I feel like it would be, because I want to do it kind of almost in the style of those Getting Tarkov videos with, you know, kind of some epic editing and stuff. And I feel like that could be enough for Nikita to be like, yo, okay, I never thought about that. You know, I didn't think about that, because usually it's just open world and he's just like thinking about the technology involved. And you know, well, we're going to do VoIP this way, open world. You're not going to be able to get into the same raid, and VoIP you have to be next to somebody to use it. And it's like, you don't realize like those two things kill the 100 other things we just talked about. You know?
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I really I'm excited.
Dope. So that's that. That's the article. That's some vision. That's some cool stuff that could be coming. It's always, I love Theorycrafting about this stuff. I think this could be the best game ever made, ever. The only other like small news is we got a small update tomorrow. Who knows what it is? The game's going to be down for 2 hours, which is a bit longer than their recent like technical updates. So I will just believe it is the Woods expansion until I wake up tomorrow and realize it's nothing more than a technical update. But until then, I'm just gonna believe.
So here's the deal: if the game is down, usually that means they're deploying server changes. So like if there's client changes, then you just have to download the client changes and relaunch. But when the game is down, that means that they are deploying code, because there's a code base for the server and code base for the client. They're two separate code bases. So when they make changes and they won't push them live, you need to like turn the fucking server off so that people aren't connecting to it. And like, this is a metaphor, but it's like, take out the old data and put in the new data. You need to deploy that code to that server and then bring everything back up so that people can connect. Maybe they're going to do Netcode. Maybe this is this is the fucking thing that I wanted. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
But the thing of note is that, yes, the game is going to be down, they said, for approximately 2 hours. So yeah, that's exactly. So they are deploying something. This isn't just a client update. They are deploying something. Nikita teased the Woods expansion on his Instagram. I want it so bad, but I would actually be pretty surprised. But a larger netcode fix or something with the servers could be pretty likely. So hopefully tomorrow.
I don't even fucking care, because tomorrow, Friday the 20th, I believe it's either 2 to 4 or 2 to 6 Eastern time, PM. I forget now, I'm gonna have to double check, but I'm gonna be on Kit Boga's stream.
Shut up.
We're gonna be calling scammers. I'm gonna be on with them tomorrow.
Dude, that's so sick.
It's like my fucking dream. So I'm so pumped. So I want to be
so sick.
I don't know if I'm gonna be. I might do some role play as Todd. I'm looking for my son.
You
have
to. Oh my god, the Todd. And does he have a name for his character? The old lady. I don't.
Oh yeah, there's Edna. See, the thing is that Todd sounds a lot like Edmund, which is like the old man version. And to be honest, like Edmund is a conglomeration of like 3 people, like my grandmother, this other character from this thing, and Edmund. Because it's like, I've never role played before. I never actually developed a character. He's just now turned into this thing that there's a little bit of overlap, but maybe he's going to be Edna.
Bro,
and I could be Edna's
so good,
Edna's husband. But so yeah, I'm going to be on that tomorrow. I'm so excited.
That's dope.
So I don't even care about fucking Tarkov.
That's great. I'm super excited to watch that then. That's so dope. That's dope. Well, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out, fam. Good episode. Oh, this game has so much potential. If you're just popping by, or if you came in pretty recently, the audio and video of these podcasts go live on my YouTube channel, on Spotify, on a bunch of stuff. We got some cool podcast stuff coming. We're both just insanely busy at all times, but you know, we're working towards it. But that will be there. It's a weekly show. We got some cool guests that we're reaching out to that are going to be coming on soon too. It's good stuff. So thank y'all so much for hanging, and we will definitely see y'all in the next one.
Peace.